Okay, so have you ever, like, totally choked under pressure? I mean, like, really messed up when the stakes were high.
Oh, yeah. I think we've all been there.
Well, this week we're going to deep dive into a situation that kind of embodies that feeling, that oh no moment on a national stage.
Oh, who are we talking about?
Indie artist Loomis and her national anthem performance at the free and equal elections presidential debate.
Ah, I did see something about that online.
Yeah, there are a ton of articles and interviews swirling around about it, so we're going to try to break it all down. But to kick things off, let's just hear it for ourselves. Here's a clip of the actual performance. So, like, wow.
It's red girl. I fucked it up. I fucked it up. Can I go back? Can I go back, please?
Live.
Bombs bursting, and then I got too nervous.
Right. You can practically hear the tension, like, radiating from her.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy to listen to.
Yeah.
And I imagine even harder to experience.
For sure. What do you think was going through her head at that moment?
It's hard to say for sure, but thinking about what it's like to sing the national anthem at a presidential debate, no less. I mean, that's going to be a whole other level of pressure.
Totally. And I think it's important to point out that she apparently only had one day to prepare for this.
One day. You're kidding.
No, just one day. I mean, even for seasoned professionals, that's barely enough time to warm up, let alone, like, perfect a song as iconic, as the national anthem.
No kidding, especially with all those high notes. And on such a huge stage, too.
Exactly. Plus, there's another layer to this whole thing that just makes it even crazier. Apparently, Loomis didn't even know that she was live.
Wait, what? Seriously?
Yeah, there seems to have been some kind of miscommunication with a producer. They told her they weren't ready yet, so she thought it was just a sound check.
Oh my gosh, talk about a recipe for disaster. To think you're just warming up and then suddenly, boom, it's showtime on live TV. Yikes.
I know, right? I mean, can you even imagine the feeling of suddenly realizing you've just messed up the national anthem in front of the entire country?
I can't even imagine. And, this kind of reminds me of Fergie's, that NBA All-Star Game performance from a few years back.
Oh, yeah, totally. That was rough. It seems like these big musical moments gone wrong just become, like, cultural touchstones,
Totally, yeah. It's almost like they become cautionary tales,
Yeah.
especially for other performers.
It makes you wonder, though, why are we so fixated on these public stumbles? Why are they such a big deal to us?
That's a good question. I think it's probably a mix of things.
Okay, like what?
Well, for one, there's definitely an element of entertainment in seeing someone mess up, especially if it's on a grand scale.
Yeah.
It's almost like a collective, oh no, followed by a, thank goodness that wasn't me.
Yeah, totally, like a bit of schadenfreude mixed in. But I think there's also something deeper at play. Maybe it's a recognition of our own vulnerability.
Like deep down, we all fear making that kind of mistake ourselves.
Right. Especially now with social media, anything can go viral in an instant. 1 minute you're singing the anthem, the next minute you're a meme.
It's true. Social media definitely amplifies these moments, both good and bad. But I think it also says something about our culture, this desire to capture and share these kinds of public stumbles.
Definitely. It's like we can't look away from these train wrecks.
It's true. But, in Loomis's case, there's another layer of complexity because it seems like she went into this performance with a lot of anxiety about singing the anthem in the first place.
Really?
Yeah. One of the articles mentioned, she said, since I was a little girl, I've always said, I don't want to sing the national anthem. It's like the scariest thing to me ever.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. And kind of ironic given that she's the daughter of a veteran.
Right. It's like her worst fear came true.
Yeah.
And on the biggest stage imaginable.
And to have that fear play out on social media for everyone to see, it's got to be incredibly difficult. It makes you think about how many of us have that same fear, that fear of messing up when it matters most.
That fear of choking under pressure. Yeah. Whether it's a work presentation or a performance of some kind. It's a pretty universal feeling.
Yeah.
And to have it amplified on social media like that, I mean, it's just
a whole other beast, right? It takes the pressure to a whole new level.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like a whole other beast. I mean, it's tough enough to deal with those feelings in real life, but then you add the layer of online scrutiny and, well, it's intense.
Totally. It's like this double-edged sword with social media, On one hand, it can be amazing for connecting with fans and sharing your work, but then there's this potential for, like, overwhelming negativity.
Absolutely. And for Loomis, I think she's definitely feeling that way right now. One of the articles mentions that she's really struggling with all the negative comments. She even said, I'm a good singer, but this whole thing is like really shaking my confidence.
Oh, man. It's got to be tough. She's clearly talented, but this one incident seems to be, like, overshadowing everything.
It's true. It's almost like people forget about all the good stuff and just zero in on the negative.
It's like that old saying, you're only as good as your last performance.
Exactly. But, what's interesting is that in another interview, Loomis actually flips that narrative. She says, I want to let every singer know sometimes you can fail, you can hit the wrong note, you can do whatever, but you're still a baddie.
That's awesome. I love that. She's basically saying, hey, messing up doesn't diminish your worth.
Right. And that's such a powerful message. It's like owning your imperfections and refusing to let one mistake define you.
It's a reminder that we're all human. We all screw up sometimes.
Exactly. And it's not about being perfect. It's about, having the resilience to bounce back.
And she's definitely doing that. Did you hear that Good Morning America reached out to her?
Oh, yeah, I did see that. They offered her a chance to sing the anthem again on their show.
Talk about a full circle moment. To go from a viral mishap to a redemption arc on national television, it's incredible.
It is. It really shows that sometimes even the most public failures can lead to unexpected opportunities.
Totally. It takes a lot of courage to step back into the spotlight after something like that, knowing that all eyes are going to be on you.
Yeah, it does. And you have to wonder what goes through someone's mind in that moment. Is it pure fear, or are they just driven by this desire to prove themselves, to show the world that they're more than just one mistake?
I think it's probably a mix of both. But ultimately, it comes down to a choice, doesn't it? Do you let the fear paralyze you, or do you use it as fuel to push yourself further?
Yeah, it's like a test of your resilience. Can you overcome that fear and take that second chance?
I think a lot of us can relate to that, even if it's not on a national stage. We all have those moments where we have to choose between giving up and trying again.
Oh, for sure. Whether it's at work, in a relationship, or just with a personal goal we've struggled with, we've all been there.
It's like those moments define who we are, Do we let those setbacks break us, or do we use them as opportunities to learn and grow?
And for Loomis, it seems like she's chosen the latter. She's taking this experience and turning it into something positive.
Yeah, she's definitely turning lemons into lemonade. And that's such an inspiring message, I think, especially in today's world where it's so easy to get caught up in negativity and self-doubt.
It's
It's like she's showing us all what it means to, like, truly own your narrative,
Absolutely, and not let the haters get you down. I think it's safe to say that she's using this experience as like a springboard for something even bigger.
I think you're right. It's like this whole thing has become like a metaphor for overcoming adversity, right? Like she starts with this fear of performing the anthem, then it actually happens and she, totally messes up, but then she chooses to confront that fear again, but on her own terms this time.
Exactly. She's not letting fear control her, and that's a really powerful message for all of us, I think.
Yeah, it's like a reminder that, we're all going to mess up sometimes. We're all going to have those moments where we fall flat on our faces.
It's inevitable, right? But it's what we do after that fall that really counts.
Exactly. Do we stay down or do we get back up? Do we let the fear control us or do we use it as an opportunity to, like, learn and grow?
And in Loomis's case, she's definitely choosing to rise above. She's using this experience as a way to, like, empower herself and others.
It's super inspiring. So I want to pose a question to you, our listeners. Just imagine yourself in Loomis's shoes. You've just had this very public mishap. The whole world has seen you stumble, right? Would you be brave enough to take that second chance?
Like, would you be willing to step back into the spotlight, knowing that everyone's watching to see if you'll, rise to the occasion or fall again?
That's a tough one, right? It
Sure.
really makes you think about your own fears and insecurities. Like, what would it take for you to overcome that kind of public embarrassment? What kind of inner strength would you need to, like, silence those self-critical voices and try again?
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about because those do-over moments, they happen to all of us. Maybe it's not on a national stage, but it could be, presentation at work or a relationship that needs mending, or maybe it's a personal goal that you've kind of given up on.
The scale might be different, but the core challenge is the same, right? Like, can you overcome that fear of failure and try again? And if so, how do you find that courage, that resilience to keep going, even when it feels like the whole world is watching and judging your every move?
It's a lifelong journey, I think. It's a process of learning to be kind to yourself, recognizing that mistakes are inevitable, setbacks, they're just opportunities for growth.
So true. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder your own approach to second chances. Until next time, keep diving deep and remember, even the most, like, epic fails can sometimes lead to the most unexpected triumphs.